The Duc de Lomelette by Edgar Allan Poe, and stepped at once into a cooler clime cowper. Keats fell by a criticism, who was it died of the Andromache, one ignoble souls de l'omelette, perished of an ortolan l'histoire, en est breve assist me spirit of Apicius. A golden cage bore the little winged wanderer, enamored melting, indolent to the Chaussee d'Antin from its home in far Peru, from its queenly possessor La Bellissima, to the Duc de l'Omelette, 6 peers of the empire conveyed the happy bird. That night the duck was to sup alone in the privacy of his bureau. He reclined languidly on that ottoman, for which he sacrificed his loyalty, in outbidding his king, notorious ottoman of cadet. He buries his face in the pillow, the clock strikes unable to restrain his feelings, his grace, swallows an olive at this moment, the door gently opens to the sound of soft music. And lo, the most delicate of birds is before the most enamored of men, but what inexpressible dismay now overshadows the countenance of the duck Heruchian. Baptisteloso a bon diciiti oiso modest, quetu as deshabille de ses plumes, et quetu as servi sans papier. It is superfluous to say more. The duck expired in a paroxysm of disgust. Ha ha ha, said his grace on the third day after his decease. He, replied the devil, faintly drawing himself up with an air of hauteur. Why, surely you are not serious, retorted de l'omelette. I have sinitsist, vrai, but my good sir, consider you, have no actual intention of putting such barbarous threats into execution. No, what said his majesticum, sir? Strip. Strip indeed, very pretty, I faith, no, sir. I shall not strip. Who are you, pray, that I Duc de l'Omelette, Prince de Foy Gras, just come of age, author of the Mazurkiad and member of the Academy, should divest myself at your bidding of the sweetest pantaloons, ever made by Bourdon, the daintiest robe de chamber, ever put together by Romertot, say nothing of the taking my hair out of paper knot, to mention the trouble I should have in drawing off my gloves. Who am I? A true, I am Baal Zebub, Prince of the Fly. I took thee just now from a rosewood coffin inlaid with ivory. Thou wast curiously scented and labeled. As per invoice Belial sent thee me inspector of cemeteries, the pantaloons which thou sayest were made by Bourdon are an excellent pair of linen drawers, and thy robe de chamber is a shroud of no scanty dimensions. Sir, replied the duck, I am not to be insulted with impunity, sir. I shall take the earliest opportunity of avenging this insult, sir. You shall hear from me in the meantime, au revoir. And the duck was bowing himself out of the satanic presence, when he was interrupted, and brought back by a gentleman, in waiting. Hereupon his grace rubbed his eyes, yawned, shrugged his shoulders, reflected, having become satisfied of his identity, he took a bird's eye view of his whereabouts. The apartment was superb, even de l'omelette pronounced it bien comme il faut. It was not its length, nor its breadth, but its height that was appalling. There was no ceiling, certainly none, but a dense whirling mass of fiery-colored clouds. His grace's brain reeled as he glanced upward. From above hung a chain of an unknown blood-red metal, its upper end, lost like the city of Boston Parmy. Less news. From its nether extremity swung a large cresset. The duck knew it to be a ruby, but from it there poured a light so intense, so still, so terrible. Persia never worshipped such Geber, never imagined such Mussulman, never dreamed of such when drugged with opium. He has tottered to a bed of poppies, his back to the flowers, and his face to the god Apollo. The duck muttered a slight oath, decidedly approbatory. The corners of the room were rounded into niches. 3 of these were filled with statues of gigantic proportions. Their beauty was Grecian, their deformity Egyptian, their tout ensemble French. In the 4th niche, the statue was veiled, it was not colossal. But then there was a taper ankle, a sandaled foot. De l'Omelette pressed his hand upon his heart, closed his eyes, raised them, and caught his satanic majesty in a blush. But the paintings Cupris Astarte Astoreth 1,000, and the same, and Raphael has beheld them. Yes, Raphael has been here, for did he not paint thee? And was he not consequently damned? The paintings, O luxury, O love, who gazing on those forbidden beauties, shall have eyes for the dainty devices of the golden frames that besprinkled like stars the hyacinth and the porphyry walls. But the duck's heart is fainting within him. He is not, however, as you suppose, dizzy with magnificence, nor drunk with the ecstatic breath of those innumerable censers. Cest fry queditouts, ces choses. Illapens beaucoup mais. The Duc de l'Omelette is terror-stricken, for, through the lurid vista, which a single uncurtained window is affording, low gleams, the most ghastly of all fires. Le pauvre duck, he could not help imagining that the glorious, the voluptuous, the never-dying melodies, which pervaded that hall as they passed, filtered and transmuted through the alchemy of the enchanted window panes, were the wailings and the howlings of the hopeless, and the damned, and their Tutherupon, the Ottoman who could he behead the petit mater, know the deity who sat, as if carved in marble et qui sour it with his pale countenance see amerment. Mais il faut agir, that is to say, a Frenchman never faints outright besides his grace. Hated a scene de l'omelette is himself again, there were some foils upon a table some points also. The Duc had studied under B. Il avait two, says 6 homs now, then, il pute setchapper he measures 2 points, and with a grace inimitable, offers his majesty the choice horror his majesty does not fence. Mais il jow how happy a thought but his grace had always an excellent memory, he had dipped in the diable of Ab Gualtier. Therein, it is said, quel diable knows par refuser unjudicart. But the chances true desperate, but scarcely more desperate than the Duc besides. Was he not in the secretad he not skimmed over Pierre Lebrun was? He not a member of the club Vington C.G. Perds? Said he G. Serai du Foys Perdu? I shall be doubly damned while out here his grace shrugged his shoulders C.G. Gagny G. Reviendrai amis ordolansk, les cartes soyant prepares. His grace was all care all attention his majesty, all confidence a spectator would have thought of Francis, and Charles his grace thought of his game, his majesty did not think he shuffled the duck. The cards were dealt, the trump is turnedit, is the king noit, was the queen his majesty cursed her masculine habiliments de l'omelette, placed his hand upon his heart. They play the duck counts the hand is out his majesty counts heavily smiles, and is taking wine the duck slips a card. C'est vous affaire, said his majesty cutting his grace bowed, dealt, and arose from the table en presentant Leroy. His majesty looked chagrined. Had Alexander not been Alexander he would have been Diogenes, and the duck assured his antagonist in taking leave quesil, newt eat de l'omelette ill, norate point d'objection de diable.